Good morning. Gazalelo here, Bondi Guru. I hope you're all doing wonderful. 8 a.m. Tuesday, what day? What's the day? 11th of November. And we're on another live. This is week 2 of our live, which is really exciting. Okay, so it's been a wonderful morning for me so far. I've had a really great walk with Willow, one of my German Shepherds, which has been really lovely. She's such a great walker. It makes a big difference when your dog is a good walker. And we had to leave King behind this morning with Layla because he's got a bit of a limp at the moment. So he's got his vet coming in to check on him today, make sure he's doing okay. Some of you might know he's 12. He's a 12-year-old German Shepherd, so he needs a lot more extra love and care and nurturing. Okay, so I want to take a moment first to suggest that you bring your attention to feeling sensations in the inner energy field of your body. And I'm just saying this because this is what's going to support you to bring your attention to the here and now, right? So the more you're focusing on sensations in the inner energy field of the body, then the commentary, the noise, yesterday, tomorrow, anything that you're going live. Am I? Yeah. Oh, I am live. That's interesting. Anything, that supports anything that's mental for you in your mind dissipates, right? So you don't have to keep giving energy and attention to the mental noise. Hence why we focus on present moment awareness. Plus, the mental noise will do nothing other than, I want to say, delude you and also just distract you from what the truth is. It will distract you from present moment awareness. It distracts you from your power. It distracts you from your ability. Good morning, Isabella. Nice to see you. From your ability to access your intuition. And so these daily intuitive horoscopes are designed perfectly to support you to access your own intuition. That is the purpose of them. There's no other purpose for them other than supporting you to recognize your own intuition, because I know that's where the power is. And for some people, accessing intuition is going to take a lot longer than other people. And I say this because sometimes what happens is the practice of the present moment awareness. Good morning, Tara. There you are. Okay. Practicing present moment awareness isn't familiar to a lot of people. In fact, it's amazing how often when I say to somebody, for example, get present, they don't know what that means. There's nothing wrong with that. If they don't know, they don't know. But the reason I feel like one of the reasons why I sit here and simplify as much as I possibly can the practice of present moment awareness is so people can understand, it's not that difficult. Actually, it's very simple. It's actually quite easy. And the moment I land in the here and now, all the noise it doesn't mean anything anymore. It doesn't affect me in the same way. And so as much as you possibly can every single day, the practice must be feeling sensations in the inner energy field of the body, taking the time. Sometimes the practice can also be as simple as, here I am in this room, I'm looking at a computer, I've got the camera, I've got lights in front of me, this is a microphone. I can just name things in the room that I'm in. This is another way to bring you back into the present moment. Anything to support you to disconnect from the mental noise. And what I mean when I say anything, I mean being in the present moment, because people could easily take drugs and things of that nature to disconnect from the mental noise as well. And that's not what I'm referring to. So bringing your attention, feeling sensations, and keep coming back to the now. This is what will support you also to better understand your forecasts, right? I am translating energy, which is intuition. I'm translating energy into words, and then your job is to receive the words and translate the words back into energy. And when you do that through present moment awareness, and it happens naturally, when you do that, then you can hear your intuition drop insights for you, or share insights, or guide you as to exactly what the personal message is for you. That's why, because sometimes people ask, can you do personal charts and things of that nature, which I don't do anyway. But that's why I feel like these daily forecasts can already be personalized, but they have to be personalized by you, not by me. You don't need me to personalize it for who you are as an individual, because your intuition will do that anyway, as long as you're paying attention. All right, so that's that. Anytime through the call, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. I did a live yesterday on Instagram, and the live is up now. If you get a chance, go and have a listen, because there was a lot of conversations and questions that were on that call, which was really great. I guess it's different on Instagram because I'm on my phone, so I can speak to people, whereas over here, because I'm on my computer, I can't really have that conversation. So sometimes it's worth jumping onto Instagram if you want to have a live call with me. So today's Aries. Today's Tuesday, 11th of November, and let's jump into Aries and let's see the timing. How fast can I get through these forecasts today? Not to rush it, of course. So for the Aries, a situation in your life is beginning to change, dear Aries. And as much as this can be very exciting for you, because it's a situation that has felt like quite a burden for you, it's a situation that's also triggered a lot of mental noise for you of late. So it's wonderful that it's changing, it's shifting. It's also exciting because I get the energy of excitement is quite prominent in your sphere, and it's going to remain quite prominent. Now, all of that being said, I just want to remind you that there will be an adjustment period. Any shift in your life, any change in your life, always has an adjustment period. Sometimes the adjustment period is a week, sometimes it's a few months, sometimes it's a few hours. And what that is, the adjustment period is the old version of you is remaining in the past, and then you're moving towards the new version of you. So your familiarity is with the old version. During the adjustment period, it's very easy to question yourself, question your decisions, because the old version that requires familiarity, your ego thrives on familiarity, so it keeps going back. It delivers old, let's say, old memories. It keeps bringing back old emotions, old thoughts, and things of that nature. So the key for you during the adjustment period, no matter how wonderful, exciting, and positive a change is to ground yourself. So, and I'm going to suggest for the Aries, maybe for the next 3 to 4 days, what you want to work on is making sure that you keep grounding yourself. Part of grounding yourself as an Aries is movement. That's going to be key. And also some moments of silence, moments of going into a quiet space and some quiet energy. This will support you to stay grounded and not get lost when the ego jumps in. I'm looking for familiarity, because what you're moving into is going to be unfamiliar. It's a version of yourself that you haven't yet experienced. And so that can be it's exciting, and it can also be quite scary at times. So that you don't lose yourself in this process, maybe 3 or so days, just focus on grounding, and more grounding. I feel like people can really forget the adjustment period. I think it's easy to forget the adjustment period. Sometimes there are changes that we experience or create, manifest in our lives, and we're so excited about these changes. No matter how amazing they are, we forget that it's going to have an adjustment period. I think this is important to remember. I'm just going to save this, by the way. It's important to remember because when you don't take the time to ground yourself during an adjustment period, especially the energy of excitement, as wonderful as it is to be excited about life and be excited about, anything moving forward, having things to look forward to, that energy of excitement very often leads to unwanted decisions because you're not grounded anymore. As soon as you get excited, you're no longer grounded. And I'm not saying you shouldn't feel excited when something exciting is happening. Of course, you feel excited, experience the high, the excitement, and then ground yourself again. Ground yourself very quickly. Otherwise, you're very quickly going to start to make decisions. And then these are just those decisions where you look back and go, oh, why did I do that? So just be mindful of that. Okay, now we have the Taurus for Tuesday, 11th of November. So sometimes you will see me take a moment pause and just see what comes through or what lands. Sometimes it takes a few seconds. And there are times when I'll sit here for 10 minutes. I'm not necessarily sitting here waiting. My focus is on feeling sensations in the inner energy field of the body. I don't want to just deliver something because there's people here and I got to get on with it. You can't force intuition. You can't push it. You have to be willing, dear Taurus, to have conversations with yourself that uplift you, conversations that support you to continue shifting that old narrative. The vision that you're looking to move into, which is the same vision that you're looking to bring to fruition, requires a level of conversation, level of consciousness, a level of awareness that is very, very different, to what you're used to, that you've had in the past. So for you, this means continuously ensuring that you're having conversations that you understand the words that you're using, right? Each word carries its own vibration. And so if you're using words that are at lower vibration, then you're going to remain at that lower vibration, that mental space. So for you at the moment, bringing this vision to fruition requires a shift in conversation and also consistency in practicing that shift. I'm going to suggest for the Taurians to pick 3 keywords today. You could ask the question, how do I love to feel? And then just hold some space for that question and allow 3 keywords to land for you. These 3 keywords could be, for example, expansive. It could be, because what I'm looking for you to understand is the vibration of each word. What I'm looking for you to do, is feel the vibration of each word. So it could be expansive. Another word could be, what could we use? Connection. It's up to you because it depends on what's important to you. So 3 keywords, I'm going to suggest that you write those keywords down. And when you say the word, what's important is that you take the time to feel it. So not just sitting there going, okay, expansion, expansion, expand. You need to slow down, bring your attention to feeling sensations, which is a doorway into the here and now, and then say the word a few times. Write it down and keep connecting with how that word feels. Eventually, how that word feels will land in your body and it will start to become more of your experience. Sometimes I find it a bit challenging to explain. I don't know if explaining is the right word, but what you hear from me often is how much I talk about bringing your attention to feeling sensations. And I do that because I know that once your attention is in the here and now, then you have the space, the capacity to hear what I'm saying, to use these exercises, implement them in your life so that you can access your own intuition. That's why I'm constantly on repeat about the same thing. Feel the sensations in the inner energy field of your body. When I run group sessions, one of the things that I focus on the most, and I'm on repeat with this, and I say to people, you've got one job only. And that one job is feel the sensations in the inner energy field of your body. Somebody may ask a question, and the answer is the same thing. You have one job. Go back to feeling sensations, land in the here and now, then you tell me the answer. Then I can offer you feedback on your answer. But for me to give you the answer, that isn't useful. Okay, I just want to make sure I've saved that. Yeah, makes my life a lot easier. Okay. It's going to be an interesting one for the Gemini, I feel like. You have some tough decisions in your life that you need to address and you need to honor, dear Gemini. And I feel like they're tough decisions because it's one of those moments, there's not a lot of them, just a few, but it's one of those moments in your life where you either choose to bring yourself to a space where you rise, or you choose to focus on everybody else. I don't want to say you should just choose yourself or you should choose other people. And this is why the decision will be a little bit tough for you. And here's what I want you to understand, however. Choosing yourself to rise will put you in a space and position to support others far greater than if you stay in limitation, in limited mindset, and try to help others. That much I can say. It still is difficult to choose a decision where you've got to pick yourself over everybody else. What I want you to understand also is that it's not that you're picking yourself selfishly. What you're doing is choosing to rise. What you're doing is aligning with decisions that support you to rise. And that means you need to shut out the noise. There's a lot of noise around you. Gosh, people talk a lot, right? Lots of talking, and everybody has an opinion and an idea about who you are, what you sound like, what you look like, who you should be, so on and so forth. That's normal. That's the world we live in. You don't have to give energy and attention to that. And so part of choosing yourself to rise is you completely dismissing all of the noise around you. And there are days where you're just going to have to close your eyes and ears to all the noise so that you can choose you to keep rising. My feeling is that you'll be able to support the people you love the way you want to support them, however, not until you've had that rise yourself. Yeah, that's for the Geminis. It's going to be a tough one for the Geminis. I feel like it's going to be a tough one for the Geminis mainly because there are people around the Geminis at the moment that can just that talk shit. That's all I want to say. People talk shit a lot. And for the Gemini, they can't help but to be distracted by the gossip and the conversation and the talk around them. So that's why I'm saying you need to shut your eyes and ears to the world around you for a little while and focus on whatever decision is true for you, and then honor that decision by following through. But it doesn't matter what you do. At the end of the day, people are going to talk shit anyway. That doesn't stop that. You have to remember that. Okay, now let's move into the Cancers. Okay, my feeling is the Cancerians are hiding certain emotions from themselves. So let me just dive into that here. I get the feeling for the Cancerians at the moment, there are certain emotions that you are dismissing and or hiding from yourself. A few emotions that don't feel expansive. They feel a little bit heavy. And because you don't really want to feel them or even admit that such emotions exist, perhaps for you at the moment, because if you do, then it could mean that, you're not doing well. It could mean that you're failing. It could mean lots of different things. And the truth is, having these emotions that I'm going to say that you may be somewhat in denial of, doesn't mean all the things that you'll make it mean or that your head makes it mean. It doesn't mean any of those things at all. These are emotions that have been sitting in the body for many years. Perhaps what's currently taking place in your life is triggering these emotions to rise to the surface. And what you're doing is you keep pushing it back down because of what you're making it mean about who you are, what you're making it mean about failure and success, what you're making it mean about your capacity and capabilities. And so this is going to drain you tremendously if you continue to keep these emotions at bay, or if you continue to push them down and or be in denial of them. There may be two prominent emotions that feel heavy. I don't know that they necessarily feel super dark. They just feel quite heavy. My feeling is the heaviness with these emotions, again, is the content you're creating around them, meaning the ideas that you're placing, the meaning you're placing on who you are because of these emotions. It's almost like me saying, let's just say I feel disappointed. I'm just going to say that, right? And then I'm avoiding feeling disappointed, and I keep pushing it away because of what I have made disappointment mean in this life, or what I've heard from, maybe growing up about what disappointment means. So I can never really allow myself to feel that disappointment. That's the message I want to get across to the Cancerians today. Here's the thing. The Cancerians are incredibly sensitive, which is not a good or bad thing. It's not right or wrong. It can be incredibly useful to be as sensitive as you are, because that's how you get to access, that's how you get to access intuition. That's how you get to be as clued in as you are. The thing, however, is often I find that Cancerians, because of also their sensitivity, it can be very difficult to remind them or offer them feedback sometimes. So I'm very aware of, for example, if I'm working with a Cancerian, how to work with them in a way where feedback doesn't even look like feedback, because they're not super open. Not because there's anything wrong, it's because of that sensitivity. You have to understand, Cancerians feel at a depth that most other star signs couldn't even comprehend. And so everything's going to feel 30,000 times more intense for them. So it makes sense why certain emotions are going to be kept at bay. And so giving a Cancerian feedback sometimes can look like being critical with them, and that will trigger a huge emotion for them. And that emotion, let's say that emotion is sadness. How I feel sadness and how a Cancerian feels sadness are worlds apart because of their deep sensitivity. I mean, Pisceans are quite sensitive as well, but okay. So just wanted to share that. Again, I'm going to make sure okay. I just have to make sure that I've saved everything here. So that's okay, cool. And then we'll jump on to the Leos. Oh, I love this for the Leos. As I'm sitting here, this is what I'm noticing. I'll just press record, actually. It's a beautiful time of transformation for the Leos, and it has been a lot this year. I get the feeling that your transformation that you've been experiencing has pushed you, and it's pushed you to levels beyond what you've experienced so far in your life. And these are levels beyond your understanding. And so there have been moments where you've been pushed so far, but you don't understand why. What's happening now is that this transformation that you've been experiencing is now transitioning into a space where you're now able to implement what you've learned and how much you've grown through the period of transformation. And I have to say, I could almost go as far as saying the period of transformation for the Leos has been most of this year so far. And now we're getting to the point where the transformation turns into a transition. The transition then turns into implementing the lessons that you've learned and how much you've grown. You've grown tremendously, and I get the feeling that you don't often take the time long enough to appreciate how much you've grown. You don't react to the same thoughts in the way that you did 8 months ago. That is huge growth. You don't react to the same circumstances and situations that you would have 8 months ago. That's huge transformation. It's really important for you to take the time to notice these transformative ways or transformations that you've experienced, but notice who you've become in the process. The more you recognize and notice who you've become in the process, the easier it becomes for you to also access that huge, unlimited energy of appreciation. I say this all the time. Appreciation is everything. Without it, you are nothing, and with it, you are everything. And with it, you have access to everything. So for you guys, it's honoring the fact that you have shifted and grown and come this far and accessing that level of appreciation. The appreciation piece is what would be the game changer for you. You can't fake appreciation. It's not something that you can pretend that you feel. You can sit and write down 1,000,000 times, I am grateful for. If it's not true, it's not true. So be mindful of that one. Okay, that was the Leos. Okay, so let's dive into the Virgo. It's not useful, dear Virgo, to give any of your attention today, in particular, to all the mental noise, the chaos. There's a lot of mental noise at the moment. And when I say it's not useful giving your attention to it, this is what I mean. Let's just say you're sitting here and you're thinking, you're giving all your attention to all the thoughts in your mind, which is what you have a tendency to do at times. None of those thoughts are useful for you. There's a difference between giving attention to the thoughts and becoming the heaviness of those thoughts and feeling that way, and observing those thoughts. What I'm going to suggest for the Virgos today is take out 5 or 10 or 15 minutes if you can, okay? And that's how long this exercise will require. And sit. First, bring your attention to the flow of the breath, then feel sensations flowing through the inner energy field of the body. This is really important. This is a doorway into the here and now. This way you will access the pace of the present moment, which is a much slower pace. By the way, you have to access the pace of the present moment to access intuition. So you've just noticed yourself, you've slowed down, you're in the here and now. Then I would love for you to observe the thoughts in your mind. Notice them. Notice the content. There's something that's on repeat. One thought in particular that's been on repeat for years on end. The opportunity you have today is to see that thought. Once you see it and you see it for what it is, the power that it's had over you and currently has over you completely dissipates. You have to be able to do this from a space of present moment awareness, which is what I've just described, and observe. I would even go as far as writing that thought down. The thought is on repeat. It just uses different content to distract you and to lead you into believing that it's true, and it's not true at all. So you have the opportunity today to pull the plug on one of the greatest lies that you've been feeding yourself unconsciously throughout your life. This is going to be epic. It is going to be epic, and it's going to take a lot of present moment awareness to not get lost. One of the things that I've also noticed, when I say people, I'm generalizing. Remember, I work with people on a daily basis. So I'm generalizing through conversations I've had with people, intuitive sessions, group sessions, and so on. So one of the things I'm noticing and have noticed over the years is how easy it is to have an insight and run with that insight and turn it into something completely different from what it originally landed as, right? And an insight could be, for example, and this is in particular for the Virgos, because if they can truly recognize the thought that has been presented in many different words and conversations in their own mind, once they see it for what it is, or once you see it for what it really is, the power falls away because you see it. It's like a magic trick. Once you see the magic trick, it's not really magic anymore, is it? Because you've seen it. Oh, that's how it's done. But for as long as you can't see it, you're so enrolled in it. It's like, wow. It's the same thing with the thoughts in our minds. And so being able to observe it is key. But what happens is an insight will land, and the insight could be that, oh, that thought actually isn't real. There's no truth in that. Stop there. Just let that be. When I say let that be, don't add more content, because once you start to add more content, oh my God, I can't believe all these years I bought into that becomes a new story, takes you right out of the present moment. You've lost the insight now. You can no longer use that insight. So just be mindful of that. Okay. That's Virgo done. We're going to dive into Libra. I feel like for the Librans, I kind of can say the same thing all the time. Stop busying up your time. Stop making everything. Filling up your plate all the time. Take time to be with yourself. Take the time to feel the flow of your breath. Take the time to honor what your body is asking of you to honor. And it's the same conversation over and over again. And I want to go as far as saying I feel like for the Librans, because there's an idea perhaps in your mind that I've just got to get this thing done. I just need to get through this part of life. I just need to get through this thing and then I'll take care of me and everything else that is a part of me. And that gets said on a daily basis over and over and over and over again. And so what becomes neglected the most is the Librans, is yourself. And so that's where then you'll get to a point where you find your body screaming for your attention. And I'm not saying it's too late by then, not necessarily. However, when the message is the same continuously and you're not hearing it, it's like that's when the further brick truck comes along. So for the Librans, you have to pay attention and notice when your body's asking for a shift or a change, which I feel like has been quite consistent this year, that your body's been asking for something from you and you've not been able to honor that just yet. It's time for you, dear Libra, to honor what your body has been asking for. I was just having a conversation here on the live and going into the issue that I feel for the Librans at the moment, and has been the case for quite some time, is filling up that plate, trying to get through whatever it is that you're going through. Let me just get through this. I got to get through this part. I've just got to get through the day. I've got to get through the next 6 weeks of my life, so on and so forth. And these types of conversations that go on, whether consciously or unconsciously, sometimes in the back of your mind, sometimes in the forefront, are what then create a bigger hole. And you find yourself digging a bigger hole. You'll find yourself going into a bigger hole. And eventually it's going to be very difficult to come out of that space. And so there have been many messages from your body in particular that you haven't paid attention to and or you're not paying attention to. Sometimes you'll hear it. You may have a moment of quiet and you hear what your body's asking of you. And often what ends up happening is, I'll get back to that a bit later, because other things that actually are not important become more important. And so I want to say again for the Librans, maybe for the 100th time this week, I feel like I've said it, listen to what your body is asking for. And in order for you to be able to do this, you need to create some quiet time. Now, in listening to what your body's asking for, then the next piece is you've got to follow through with what your body is asking for. So it's not enough to just listen. You need to also follow through. And part of following through is creating let's just say, a schedule of some kind that works for your mind and body to be at its peak in health. Everything else should work around that. Yeah. I don't know if there's much else to say to the Librans. Sometimes I feel like, oh gosh, if it's on repeat, are they really going to listen? But I guess it's up to them. It's up to you, rather. Okay. Sorry if there's noise outside. There's always, what's the word? There's always buildings being built in the area. So, okay. Now we have, for the Scorpio, we're running on good time here. This is great. Yeah, okay, cool. I love that I get to deliver this. Okay. Things are looking up, dear Scorpio, and they have been. They're pointing to a direction of some lighter shifts and changes and things of that nature. So that's my dog in the background. And so your opportunity at the moment is to not negate that, because you have a tendency, which we all do at times, to negate. Like, where, how is it looking up? And, oh, but I'm going to get disappointed again. And so you've just got to be mindful of those types of conversations that can kind of sit in the background. What I'm essentially asking for the Scorpios to do is trust. Trust that it is looking up. Trust that there are changes taking place, and spend more of your time and energy appreciating the changes that are taking place rather than focusing on how difficult things have been. Because it's so much easier to focus on how hard things have been for you in your life. And that can lead to a mentality where, what is it? A victim mentality. And see, please be mindful of that. I'm not saying it hasn't been difficult, but again, we don't need to keep having the conversation of it's been difficult, it's been difficult. You don't need to go around in circles about it. We get it. It's been difficult. Now let's focus on present moment awareness and then take the time to appreciate the changes that are occurring in your life. Things are looking up. The more I sit here and connect, let's say, with the energy of the Scorpio, the more I'm sensing, things are looking up. There are shifts taking place. It does feel a lot lighter. And I may get some Scorpios ago, it doesn't feel lighter for me. My suggestion to you is bring your attention to the flow of your breath. Come back to the present moment first. Come back to the present moment before you make a judgment. Because the part of you that's operating when it's saying, well, it doesn't feel lighter for me, is the part of you that's clinging to the past and how difficult it has been. Just be careful with that one. Yeah. That's for the Scorpio for today. Again, there's an energy of kind of sameness with the Scorpios, which I've been talking about quite a bit, and that is focusing too much on how difficult it has been. It's almost as though I need everyone to know how hard it's been, and maybe there's a part of you that needs that validation. And I do feel like you've had it on some level. The problem with that kind of validation is it almost becomes a little bit addictive, and that's what's going to take you to that victim mentality, which is not useful. Okay, so let's dive in Sagittarius for today. You'll appreciate today, dear Sagittarius, a sign that comes your way. And I feel like it's a sign that's already been in your life, maybe for about 3 to 4 months. You just haven't truly maybe had the space to pay attention to this sign. It's a confirmation that shows up for you and has been around, but you're able to recognize it today. A confirmation that says to you, hey, this is a green light, move forward. It's an idea that I feel like, presented to yourself some time ago, and you've left the idea on the side burner. Again, perhaps because you haven't really had the time, energy, or space for it. And so the green light that comes in, that shows up for you today, or that you're able to see, that confirmation also fuels you with confidence to make this move. It's a move that will present its own challenges along the way. And I'm saying that because it's important that you don't get lost in the idea that everything that you decide to do has to be smooth sailing. It's not going to be. There will be choppy waters along the way, then you'll have smooth sailing. Then you'll have choppy waters, then you'll have smooth sailing. That's part of the process. The choppy waters part will support you to grow, and then the smooth sailing will allow you to implement. Okay, so that's the cycle that will continue to occur regardless of what path you choose, what ship you're on, and so on and so forth. So the wonderful news for you is you're able to see this confirmation today, and that's where you recognize the confidence to make this move in your life. Good for you. Okay, confidence is a big thing for the Sagittarius, in case you don't know that. It's a huge thing for the Sagittarius. It's really important for them to be able to access their confidence. Okay, we're moving super fast today. Gonna dive in. Sometimes I find that the faster I move, sometimes, not always, the faster that I move from one forecast to the next, the easier it is to access, let's just say, intuition. And it's not necessarily that I sit here and access intuition, because I'm in that space the entire time. But the easier it is, it feels like the words come through a lot faster. But then when there's lots of talking in between, they seem to move through a little bit slower. Okay, Capricorn. The key for you right now, dear Capricorn, is to not overthink it. The best thing you can do today is, in fact, take the day off thinking as much as possible. So that would mean spend the day in nature, spend the day doing things that you love, that support you to feel alive. I'm saying this because it's not that thinking is a bad thing and you should never think. It's just that what you're thinking about and the way you're about to go into that space of overthinking isn't useful for you. You're going to create unnecessary content and stories and emotions that are not necessarily true at all. So this is in relation, by the way, to a decision you've made lately. I don't know that you're necessarily questioning the decision, but there's a part of you that is questioning. There's a tiny part of you that is questioning this decision. And that tiny part of you that is questioning this decision is the part of you that can go into a crazy spiral of overthinking things. So, not necessary. The decision you've made is a true decision for you. Continue to honor that decision. And that tiny part that keeps throwing in questions here and there, that's maybe you need to sit with that part of you. But for today, I feel like it's about going, you know what, I'm not going to go there. I've made this decision. I'm going to honor my decision and keep moving forward with your decision. The key, I think, takeaway from your forecast today is don't overthink it. It's done. Move forward, and also spend today as much as possible doing things that make you feel alive, that support you to feel the joy that's in you already. That's what today needs to be about for the Capricorns. Okay, that's the Capricorn. Done. If you guys didn't catch the live yesterday on Instagram, it's worth going back and having a look. I've left it there. There were some really great questions that I got from the audience, or the followers, my followers rather, and also some, I think it was two people that spoke, I think two people that were able to speak live on the call, which was really great. That, I think, also it gives you an opportunity to recognize or understand how I work. When you see me working with somebody else or having a conversation with somebody else, that gives you an indication of, oh, okay, I see what this person actually does, which is accessing intuition to give guidance, but it gives you a better picture. Otherwise, what you're kind of seeing is just me sitting here talking. Okay, now we have the Aquarius. Okay, interesting. Just going to give it a moment. Okay. The more you make it about right and wrong, dear Aquarius, the more difficult it's going to be for you to honor true decisions. I feel like the right and wrong piece is in relation to judgment. It feels as though there are certain, let's say, decisions that you can make in your life at the moment, and there's a lot of judgment around either making these decisions or how you make these decisions. There's a lot of decisions that are in front of you in your life. Of course, you're not going to align with every single one of them, because some of the decisions that are in front of you are not for you, and you need to be able to gauge the difference. Now, all being said, what your forecast is really about today is don't get lost in the right and wrong, which means the story of some of these decisions that are in front of you. One decision, for example, is to follow through with a vision that you have. Okay, I'm just going to give an example here. And where the wrong and right is applied, or can be applied, is, well, if I follow my vision, then that means I'm selfish and I'm only caring about myself, just making this up. So that's a wrong decision to make. And that's what I mean by there's judgment here. And what this is doing is actually distracting you from following through with some actually remarkable decisions that you have the privilege to make in your life at the moment. That's the energy that I'm sensing for the Aquarians. You can make some truly remarkable decisions, and you're stalling. You're stalling by looking at them as though there's a right and wrong. These decisions have nothing to do with anybody else. They're really around what dream you're going to bring to fruition in your life, and what actions you're going to spend more of your time and energy on. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. You have to be very careful with making these decisions about other people, so on and so forth. Now, I feel like all of this is a distraction. It's a distraction because deep down, the question you really have is, am I capable? Am I really capable of bringing these dreams to fruition? And that's why you're stalling. Maybe that's what I should have just said to begin with. Sometimes I find I really have to go the long way to get what I'm saying out, and then I understand what I'm saying. Let me just explain that. As you know, or some of you may be aware, when I present these intuitive horoscopes, they're based purely on intuition. It's got nothing to do with actual astrology, because I've never studied astrology. And it's got nothing to do with the planets or anything of that nature. It's purely intuition. So I have no idea what I'm going to say. I don't pre-plan anything. So I sit here, press record. I don't know what I'm going to say, and then the content comes through. Sometimes it goes in circles, unfortunately, until I get to that's the point of this particular forecast, as I did with the Aquarians, and then boom, the last line comes out, which would be much easier for me, and I'm sure for you, if I just said that last line at the beginning, but it doesn't work that way. Sometimes I wonder what it must feel like for an astrologer. I say a true astrologer because I'm not really an astrologer. What it must feel like to know. Like, I think, wow, how easy, I could be wrong, but how easy is it to do these forecasts based on the planets, based on, I don't know if it's numerology, I don't know what they use, but so to study astrology, I can't even imagine studying astrology, but to study astrology, and then what do? Look at the planets, and then they know what's going to happen? I'm not too sure how it works, but I guess the delivery is going to be different from each astrologer. And I do feel that there needs to be a level of consciousness, and maybe a more expanded level of consciousness, to be able to deliver in a way that people can really get something out of it. Because if you pick a magazine and you read your forecast in the magazine, a lot of them are just 5 lines of garbage. That's the truth. They don't offer anything. Or you get a lot that says, Venus is in Mars, which most people are not going to know what that means. I have no idea what that means. I think most astrologers don't even know what that means. So when the reader is reading, Venus is in Mars, so today, blah, 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 it's like, what does that even mean? But I am very curious. I do wonder, is it much easier to deliver a forecast because you've studied it and you know the planet? Don't know. I always say, sometimes I wish there was only one star sign. My life would be so much easier. Oh, imagine there was just Pisces. That's it. There are or 2 star signs. It'd be so easy. And it's not to say what I do is necessarily difficult. I think anything that has a lot of thinking involved can become difficult, but it's not that what I do is necessarily difficult. It's more that in the time that I'm sitting here and delivering these forecasts, I cannot allow thought to get involved, because that's going to interfere with intuition. So sometimes what that feels like, it's almost as though you're holding your breath, and I've got to keep the ego at bay, which is thinking. So it's almost as though you're holding your breath for that time. That's sometimes how these forecasts feel for me when I'm delivering them, because thought kills your ability to hear intuition. You're not going to be able to hear it if there's lots of thinking. So the whole time that I'm sitting here delivering these forecasts, there's no thinking allowed to come in. Yeah. So everything kind of just sits here around these sides. And then then when I'm done, they kind of flood through, and I have to make sure that I don't give energy and attention to all the thoughts that have been sitting here begging for attention. Okay, that's why I wondered if it was a bit easier for a true astrologer. So we have Pisces. This is the last one for the morning, and it looks like I've done pretty good in time. You'll find yourself naturally honoring a decision that has been quite difficult for you to make and follow through with throughout your life today, dear Pisces. The interesting thing is you naturally honor this decision. And you may even question, how come I can do this now? And for so many years of my life, I've wanted to make this decision and it's been so difficult. And maybe you've made it many times, you've followed through for a minute or two, and then you've given up, or, distracted, or lots of different things have occurred. Where you're at right now, however, honoring this decision becomes second nature for you. Something will land for you as in terms of an insight that gets you to recognize the value of honoring this decision, the impact of honoring this decision, and how it will affect and impact your entire life, like every area of your life, by honoring this one decision. And my feeling is that you haven't known how this one decision will impact all areas of your life. Therefore, the distractions that have come along or whatever has occurred, they've become more prominent than honoring this decision. Where you're at now, even when the distractions come along, which they will, that's normal, it's part of the process, they won't become important to you anymore. They won't take your attention in the way that they have over the years, because you now understand the value of this decision, this one decision, and the impact it has on every area of your life. That's all. That's as far as I can go with that. That's a cool one for the Pisces today. Sometimes when I hear the forecast myself, I'm like, oh, I think I know what that decision is. And very often I'm dead wrong in that, because I'm thinking, right, oh, I think I know. But really, I have no idea. Then, the day progresses, then, the insight lands, and it's a decision I didn't even realize was available. I didn't even so when you listen to this, as I have over the time as well, what I would recommend is you don't make any assumptions. It's very easy to go, oh yeah, I think I know. Oh, I know exactly what decision she's talking about. Because the moment you do that, then you've kind of closed yourself off to possibilities and opportunities. And very often I have no idea what I'm talking about. Even in my own forecast, once I say it or read it or watch it back, even when I think I know, I don't know. I don't know. And it's better to be open to the fact that I don't know. So what is authentic, what is true can land, and I can go, that's what it is. So just be mindful of your assumptions. Okay, guys, that's it for the day. I'm going to head off and focus on other forecasts. Just a reminder that actually today I will present the links for the yearly intuitive horoscope forecast that I'll be delivering live via group sessions. Each group will run up to around 5 people. I'm keeping it as intimate and small as I possibly can, so that way I can focus on each individual during the delivery of that particular forecast, that star signs forecast for 2026. The whole purpose of this is to support you to prepare for 2026 as best as you can and end 2025 as best as you can. And also I'm there to guide you and deliver personal, I want to say, guidance for each individual if you so choose to receive that personal guidance. Some people might not want that. They just want the yearly forecast and then they'll go away with that. That's it for today. I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day, by the way.